part of the fun is the thrill of the familiar, and then part of the fun is I don't actually know what is going to happen necessarily within the confines of the familiars.
Alabama take projection.
Hey, welcome to Taking It Down, the TV and streaming podcast from the Alabama Take. We give thoughts that range from complex to simple, from analytical to basic about shows and movies on TV. I'm Blaine Duncan, editor-in-chief of the website The Alabama Take. I've always enjoyed determining why I like and dislike things, and I have a little bit of a side hustle as an English teacher, so hopefully that lends itself to our busy listeners who want some insight. It's great for listeners that it's not just me breaking down what you want to know. It's Adam Morrow, our erudite touring and studio musician who keeps up with fine literature, Donovan Reinwald, who specializes in media at a New England college and loves film, old books, and more, and Natalie Morrow. She's the first person to go to about fantasy, sci-fi, comics, trashy reality TV, and Beyonce's music. We're here for lovers of television who are just too busy for anything more than the series or movie itself, or maybe for the person who just does not want the typical critic or Hollywood-adjacent analysis. Plus, like a lot of Alabama Take productions, we're high quality. We actually think. Let's get into the show. If you're joining us, we're talking about the YouTube version. That's available, and what I mean by that is there is a audio version on YouTube. Nope, no images, just audio. You just hit play. But there's the video version, and you can see our reactions, our faces. Some of us good looking.
You can see when Blaine mimes at me to get closer to the microphone.
Speaking of good looking, there's
Here I
Natalie.
am.
That's the best looking amongst us. And there's Donovan, there's Adam. You hear this
Wait,
in
are
the
these the
intro.
rankings, or are you just saying our names?
Descending order. I'm crushed.
Descending order of looks.
It's the right order.
Wait, what order did I go in? Natalie?
Natalie, me, Adam.
Natalie, Donovan, and me.
Feels right.
It's a toss-up between... toss-up at two. I'm definitely 4. We'll just leave it at that. I'm willing to bet, especially for our audio, just podcast app listeners. We've got podcast app listeners, I would suspect, from Tuscaloosa. You want to tell them you're going to be in town soon? Speckled Bird?
Sure. Speckled Bird at where else? Druid City Brewing Company on Thursday, October 26th, as a part of Mr. Bohick's birthday celebration, which is a guaranteed good time. John Calvin Abney will be playing as well, who is just fantastic. He'll do, I think, an acoustic set. He's on tour solo, and then the Bird will play.
Fantastic. Happy birthday, Bo. Go see Speckled Bird Thursday evening. Druid City closes at, 10 these days? 10 p.m.?
Yeah, you get out of there pretty early.
You get out early enough to get to class or to work. Natalie, are you gearing up for decorations with Fireside?
A little bit. Haven't... A little behind this year, but that's okay. I'm excited to put some lights up.
So Natalie and her, tell me her name. I'm so sorry.
Jenny White.
Jenny White. Jenny is what I couldn't get out of my mouth. I was going to say Jennifer, but okay. If you are in Florence, Muscle Shoals, Northeast Alabama, general vicinity, you can look up Fireside. Natalie, tell them where they can find you. It's mainly Instagram, and they can DM you there.
Yeah, mostly Instagram. Yeah, send us a message on Instagram's Fireside Florence. Let us know how we can help you get your holiday kicked off.
They can decorate some things for you. They can do some gift wrap. Guys like me.
Seriously. So many husbands email us like the week before Christmas.
No, that would be like if I had a service like that near me. That would, because it's like oh, it's a lumpy log. I love you.
Hey, Donovan. Every Christmas I Google gift wrap Arab, Alabama.
Here's what you do. You Amazon ship your stuff to me. I'll wrap it and then mail it back to you.
Oh my goodness.
Not kidding. Will do.
Are we hearing this, listeners? Fireside, Florence, that's Northeast Alabama area for decorations, and probably even for gift wrap. That might limit the circumference of how far you could get out of Florence and Muscle Shoals, but still worth your time. That's going to be Natalie and Jenny. You can find them on Instagram, and you can see that email or DM them.
Just the funniest thing in the world to me that my wife has always loved putting up Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And year after year, she's like, man, I just want to do this for my job. And then one year she was like, well, I have an LLC. Great. Have an LLC and a new ladder.
If there's anything more American dream than saying I have an LLC and a new ladder.
Yeah.
And lastly, I don't want to leave him out. Donovan, where can people find you?
Connecticut.
You you'll be signing books at.
Not his
Not my
books.
books. I'll be signing other people's books at many of our fine used bookstores. Now you can find me around our town's various breweries. You know,
Honestly, speaking of finding us, Adam and Donovan and I personally are on Blue Sky now. Who knows? Is that where we're going to go?
I mean, there's less Nazis, which I kind of like.
There's less Nazis. I don't even bother looking at Twitter much anymore unless someone sends me a link. But honestly, the Alabama Take is on all social media: TikTok, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, and then Taking It Down Pod. That's how you find it. Taking It Down Pod. We're on Blue Sky, Threads, TikTok. We have a TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. Up to you. You know which one or two do you prefer? Find us, follow us. I think as soon as Blue Sky gets a few more people involved as users, it will continue to be kind of cool. I think that's just my opinion. What do I know? Threads is also okay, but no one really uses it. So
I've been able to, like, I'm not following everyone on Blue Sky that I used to, but like I've been able to kind of scrape together, like, oh, these are the folks that I liked, mostly football and movie people.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Lots of movie people have gone
Yeah,
there. Lots of
yeah,
critics.
yeah. Like you got Matt Zoller Seitz is on there. You've got Brian Tellerica. You've got every other single person who writes for RogerEbert.com. You've got some folks from the Vulture. You've got some
Uh huh.
New York Times guys.
Yeah, the Times guy that you turned me on to not too long ago is there and uses Blue Sky with regularity. And
I turned you on to him.
Glenn Kinney, am I correct?
Oh, Glenn Kenny. Yeah, yeah. He also writes for. Yeah, he writes widely. He's good.
He has bylines everywhere, and you're right. But he's a
He
regular
really
user.
does.
Interesting guy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into our critiques. We fancy ourselves critics, not really. We fancy ourselves just kind of thinkers. And Natalie says yes, she's a critic.
Well, I'm critical.
She's a critiquer.
I
Yeah.
feel like this is that point in that telemarketer documentary where Patrick J. Paps is like, you know what? I am a journalist. I am. That's like
Never fail to bring up Patrick J. Pespis.
he
in
met
our
with my senator.
Gotta love him. We're talking Loki to begin. It comes out every Thursday on Disney Plus. The most recent episode titled 1893. If you don't want spoilers, skip ahead to the next segment. The basics of this is Loki and his pal Owen Wilson. It's not really. His character name is. And wouldn't it be great if it was just Owen Wilson?
With Owen Wilson as
Yeah.
himself.
Well, a variant of himself.
Yeah, how dare you?
Right.
You could rope in Luke Wilson that way. It'd be interesting. Anyway, his character's name is Mobius. Okay, finally got that. They are, it's almost like time traveling kind of episode where they're back in 1883, though apparently a little different timeline because the variant of Kang or whatever he's going by, the one
Victor
who.
Timely.
Well, yeah, no, that's what he's going by in 1893 in the variant version.
Right. Right.
The idea here is that Mrs. Minutes, the cartoon clock, has.
Oh, she's not married, Blaine.
Oh, what did I say? Oh, Miss Minutes. Yeah,
Mrs.
that's a good point. That comes up.
I'll say that's relevant to this.
We get some
episode.
cartoon fucking on this.
Aggressively comes up.
No, Miss Minutes tells the Renslayer, she says, drop this book off in this window. It's Victor Timely's window. When he was a kid, he gets the TVA's, that book that was written by OB, who's not in this episode. Well, he's there for 2 minutes to say, oh my God, the timeline's about to explode.
Yeah, he gets to say what he says every episode, which is, up, it's all bad, we're all gonna die, figure it out.
We're all gonna die.
And that's my big point about this episode is it's a lot of the same things happening. Many of the characters are just doing the same thing. Sylvie just wants to kill Victor Timely in this case, not Kang per se. And it's, I wanted a little something new but I didn't get it other than the beautiful set pieces.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel like much is happening,
Yeah.
but it's still fun.
I like you said, Blaine, the background is very attractive. It can be fun, just Owen Wilson, Tom Hiddleston just hanging out. Owen Wilson's trying to, or Morbius, not Morbius, that's the vampire, Mobius.
I keep saying that too, Donovan.
Yeah, it's too close.
Morpheus.
Mobius explaining his philosophy about detective work and snack foods.
There was a shot when they were at the World's Fair, and it was like a very like a wide shot with a lot going on behind them and people in the foreground. And I mean, I said aloud to Natalie, like, this looks. And if you could tell somebody 15 years ago that like TV is going to look like this, it's pretty shocking how cool it looks and what the quality that they're able to pull off. And I mean, it helps that there's two movie stars just palling around. Well, in that particular scene, there were two. Yeah, but there's just not a lot of there.
Mm-mm. That's really funny. You had the same thought as I. The whole time I watched it, I was thinking, wow, this is probably kind of what it looked like in Chicago in 1893 at the World's Fair.
I mean, I did read Devil in the White City, so I feel like something of an authority on it, as obviously someone on the writing staff also did.
I thought about that book while I was watching this episode. I thought, oh, wow, this is probably what I can picture when I start reading such a book. They're moving the plot along incrementally. So what? What do we have now? Victor Timely, this variant of Kang, is going to be at the TVA in the next episode. They finally get him there. It took a whole episode, but beautiful set pieces. It sounds like I'm complaining. Truth of the matter is, not completely. I still am fine spending 45 minutes just sitting down and watching this. Is that kind of where we are with this? Like, there's
Yeah, I
nothing
was
really
mostly
happening.
entertained.
Yeah, it's not like it's offensively bad. It's just repetitive.
They do have moments, especially with an episode like this, where I'm like, oh, they're about to sort of maybe get into like racial politics, and they sort of do, and they sort of don't, and it feels like very middle. And that's almost as interested in me as anything else, where it's like I don't know how accurate the access that these characters of color would have had. But then they kind of like, so it's like, okay, they're there, but then they kind of, they have the boorish man in the audience who's condescending, and it's like it made me think of like how disastrous Winter Soldier was, because they tried to not Winter Soldier, Captain and Falcon, whatever I don't even remember the one with
Falcon and Bucky and
thanks,
all,
that's the
all
one.
them, whoever.
And
Winter
they
Soldier
they were
Superman.
on the edge of kind of being like, wow, as a, like a black man in America's security apparatus, maybe I have some thoughts, but it all kind of gets wrapped up and no one remembers it at the end.
True.
I just assumed, because I remember that scene where the guy said something in the crowd and was just like,
Yeah,
is this
I'm
it?
like, where are we?
It's like, well, we're on a different timeline.
Yeah.
Maybe things are different.
Did you like the affectation that Jonathan, I'm going to call him Jonathan Edwards, the preacher, Majors, did for Victor Timely? Because I'm like, I honestly don't know if this is offensive, but I was just kind of like, spit it out. Like, I know he's obviously supposed to have a stutter, so that I don't want to make fun of anyone who has a stutter or anything like
No.
that. But like, just there was just something like, just say it. Like, you're taking up so much time in your scenes.
That was interesting because it was the stutter mixed with he was also talking really fast.
Yes.
Just like what are we doing?
Yeah, well, I think that was a good choice. People with a stutter tend to find something to make up for.
Yeah. And I mean, it definitely, like, as far as like differentiating him from the other versions of himself we've seen, it was great, and I don't think he was bad. And again, I really don't want to, especially if any of you listeners are have ever experienced the stutter or have a stutter. I don't like that's. This is not a criticism of stuttering. It's more like, I don't know if I liked it or not, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The way that he chose to play his character. I see why he did it, but I'm not sure if it annoyed me or not. And this might mean I may be the villain here. I realize.
Well, Donovan just got canceled.
I think I might have.
First time for everything.
Yeah.
I found it to be a capital C choice.
Yes. That was yes, I felt the same way.
I mean, it felt very actorly, but at the same time, he captured the screen. He captured his scenes. He was up against Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston and stood his ground and maybe, kind of, sort of, stole the scene if he didn't annoy you.
I don't even know if I was annoyed, but Blaine, I would actually agree with that. Like he did steal the scene.
He's a Class A actor.
So he's going to do that anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
Class A actor, and he's proving it every time I watch him in something. He's got some serious, disappointing, scary, disgusting issues going on, assuming their validity. I don't want to
See
talk
how
about
that all sorts out. Yeah.
We really don't talk about those kinds of things here a lot. Disney, Marvel are still using him. I've just got to go with what's on the screens. Yeah, he did something I think to differentiate, and I would be curious if he came into set and said, "This is what I figured out about this character. I'm going to do this," or if they said, "Hey, can you figure out what you want to do to make this character very different from Kang?"
Yeah, that I'd be interested to know too. I agree with you, Blaine, and obviously the stuff that's happening in it. This was apparently all filmed before any of that. I don't want to conflate the person that I like to see acting with the person, but he does kind of have it, where you want to look at him, you want to see what he's gonna say, even if like in this case, I'm not sure if I was 100 there with all percent there with all the choices. Like I wasn't looking away.
Right.
I wasn't looking at my phone.
I thought they were pretty good choices. I get your very slight critique of how it took up a little too much time than maybe it needed.
I think it gave the scenes. I think it gave the scenes somewhat of a weird rhythm.
Okay, that's fair.
But that might just be me being not very sensitive to people with a stutter. And if that's true, I apologize.
I don't think so. I think that the scenes did have it.
It had a weird he had a weird pacing. It almost felt like it didn't fit with the rest of the episodes. Sorry, the rest of the episode scenes that he was not in.
Okay,
Had a very different pacing.
I think that's fair. Listeners, if you hear the ice cream truck coming by, I live in Alabama, and it's late October, and that is meaningless to an ice cream truck.
Was it like 80 degrees there today?
76 or so, probably.
Yeah. Still enough for an ice cream.
Sure.
Get you that Dilly Bar.
No, it's not a Dairy Queen ice cream truck. It's just your classic ice cream truck. Jonathan Majors is maybe one of the better actors of the last 5-10 years to emerge within the last 5 or 10 years. Who could we set him up against? John David Washington is one of his peers, and I think he's heads and tails above John David Washington. So that's kind of where we are. As an actor, again, personal things off screen. Let's talk about Miss Minutes as, oh wow, she's the villain.
First of all, not a fan of them like alluding to this any kind of like romantic tension between both what's his name and Miss Minutes and Renslayer. Just annoying. We don't
Love
need
it.
to do that. It's such a talk about a waste of time. Like, why does every scene between a man and a woman have to have sexual tension? Don't love it, especially when one's a cartoon.
Yeah, 100%.
When did we start Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That's all I could think about during those scenes.
Miss Minutes. She's just drawn. She's not bad. She's drawn that way.
Yeah,
Ew.
yeah. That's it. I felt the same. It was awkward and clumsy. There's no point in that. What, she's got to be attracted to him or want a boyfriend or turn me. But maybe it all was just about turn me into a human or give me a body so I can have more control.
But then when she comes back up at the end, after he muted her or whatever, and then she comes back up at the end, she comes back saying, because she got cut off, and her last 2 words that came back were, love you.
Yeah.
It's like, why does that have to be the only female motivation in these stupid shows?
Yeah.
I will agree that did come somewhere out of left field.
Tara Strong is the voice for Miss Minutes, and she's recently been fired for a social media post about what's happening in Israel and Hamas. So
What'd she say?
I don't know. I didn't find what she said or didn't go looking for it. I just was looking up that actress. I wanted to put a face with a name.
So when you say fired, like from Loki going forward, like she's done.
I don't know if it was from Loki. It was from a recent project, so it would have been in the
Okay.
last month. Maybe not Loki, because we don't even know if
Okay.
Loki's going to do a season 3.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering, if it was just like, we have you on contract, but not anymore. You know, something
Oh,
like that.
yeah. And the reason why I wanted a face with the name, I was going to be curious if they did give her a body, and who is this voice actress / actress? I didn't know her that well. Other people did. Apparently, she's done voice work a lot, like other people on, like, say, message boards and things. She ends the episode by saying, I've got a secret about this dead Kang in front of us who's rotting because Renslayer's been sent to the end of time by Sylvie. Sylvie says, if you want to go to the end of time, here you go. Boom. Takes her to sends her to the end of time. She's there. Then Miss Minutes shows up there and says, well, got a secret about maybe Victor Timely, maybe just the regular Kang, maybe both, because they're going to end up doing the same thing.
I thought the secret was about Renslayer.
Yeah, because she's like, it's gonna make you mad.
Oh, it's about her. I thought it was about
Yeah.
the Kang, like what he does or says to her. I knew it was related to her. Okay.
Oh, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Miss Minutes said, I have a secret about you, or I know a secret about you.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I could be mistaken.
So that's interesting to me, but how interesting to be a cliffhanger?
Yeah.
I don't know. Adam said it last week as a joke, but it's a vibe. I don't know. It's a relatively okay hang still. I don't know. Again, it sounds like I'm complaining a lot, but I still like it. I still think it's a pretty good Marvel show on Disney Plus. Compare it to She-Hulk. Compare it to the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, and it's still good. A lot to do with the acting and the delivery and the set.
Yeah, I'd say Tom Hiddleston's still fun to watch, right? Like Owen Wilson's fun to watch.
Absolutely. Owen Wilson in a lot can work well. We're going to take a quick break, and after you hear more about some of our podcasts in our network, you'll hear from us. Of course, Taking On Sports, the Alabama Takes Premier Sports podcast, has a heavy Alabama lean. That's what you want. But there's some serious objectivity too. Join hosts TD and Greg every other Monday as they recap and break down the biggest news in college sports and beyond. Find it by searching Taking On Sports, minus the G, or head directly to the Alabama Take to stream it every other Monday. Okay, we're going to continue to talk about the fall of the House of Usher. We talked the first 2 episodes with spoilers last week if you want to go back and listen. This week it's pretty certain we're going to talk about some of those middle episodes. 3 and 4 are assured. 3 and 4 are assured for spoilers, and of course anything that came before that might spoil what's happening in those, so don't listen if you don't want to know too much. All right, let's pick up with episode 3. I think we're all good here. After episode 3, I bet Adam and Natalie might go radio silent, in case you're wondering, because they're not quite there. We don't want to ruin anything for them. Episode 3 had the good monologue about lemons and lemonade, or it turned that on its head. I thought that was kind of well written. I was like, oh, that's a little different, where Roderick Usher gives the, you don't take lemons and turn them into lemonade, you make them into a capitalist sort of statement.
Except he was wrong.
Okay, how so?
You write one of the greatest pop songs ever written.
You either take the U2 route, you take the Monsanto route. You know, it's a win-win. I
It's
think.
one of the.
Is Bono Mr. Monsanto?
Could be.
Hard to say.
You never see them in the same location, though, which I find suspicious.
None of the Usher family cries or even cares when some of their family dies in this episode.
Because I don't care for them.
Yeah, they hate each
At
other,
all.
right?
Yeah.
It's kind of
They didn't care for Job.
They did not. They did not. Blaine, you touched on, with the one of the big things that my biggest complaint about Midnight Mass, which I liked and thought was, I wouldn't say swinging for the fences, but it was taking swings, it was taking chances, and I respected that, but I thought it was too talky. And I kind of actually like that this one is framed with like this billionaire sort of coming clean and sort of just trying to justify himself, and it makes the talkiness work more for me. Like the lemonade monologue. It's like, oh, this fits because and it's again, right. It's another power play too, right? Like he's in control. He's telling the story. He's gonna let Dupont know what he wants when he wants it. And I'm kind of, yeah, I'm there for that.
The original Roderick Usher was supposed to be played by Frank Langella,
Interesting.
but did not work out because he had some, am I right about some sexual discrimination, sort of, and they chose to replace him. I think they chose a good actor. Frank Langella, it seemed like he would have chewed up too much scenery, been too much of a presence, would have been too big on the screen, metaphorically speaking, figuratively speaking. I like this actor. Long stretches of talking, and that's probably going to either work for you or not. When they are in those long stretches of talking, I got to be honest, I'm listening, but I'm also looking at that set, and I'm trying
Yeah,
to see if there's anything I need to be watching for. But it's also just a creepy set. You got to think the actors were either loving or hating being on that particular old family set.
I do like how in many of his recent attempts, like he will kind of use, like the talking is important for the plot, but he will also kind of use it to lull you
Uh huh.
and get you to focus on something when there's really something else in
Yeah.
the background,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Fits with what I said last week. I'm a little disappointed it's not as scary as some of his previous installments of on Netflix.
Hmm.
So tell me, Natalie, about episode 3 with you, and because you were on the fence with the show on, am I going to continue? Is it for me?
It's not for me. The show is so bad. I find this show, the acting is hilarious. Every time there's a scene that I'm supposed to be like scared of, I would laugh out loud. It's so cheesy. It's so CW. Somebody tried to convince me this week that I just don't know how to consume it because it's not like high art horror. I'm like, you know what? Maybe you're right, but that makes me better than you. I'm just kidding. I don't actually think that. But I just can't. I don't know what to do with this. It's silly.
No, this may be as campy as Flanagan's been.
Definitely, I do think that like there is that element of silliness where it's like, which I'm actually kind of enjoying, but it's just like, oh, the Rue Morgue, how's the ape gonna tie into killing him, right, or her? I
And
mean,
it's so predicted. Like when old girl jumped on the table, monkey style, just like wept with tears of laughter. Just like I cannot take it seriously.
I
Can't do
walked
it.
in on her watching episode 3 and was very surprised because I did not know that she'd seen episode 2. And here she is about to finish 3, and that scene happened, and she just started like laughing her ass off. It did not go well.
If they would have chosen to go one way, when it ends with the monkey screams and there's silence other than the monkey screams in the black in the credits, that's kind of affecting or a little creepy. Instead of going another way, like Natalie's talking about the lady jumping up on the table like a monkey or like a chimpanzee, they almost clash. How serious do you want? Do you want to be camp or do you want to be kind of, oh my God, horror? Which one do you want? And maybe pick one and run with it. I also will say that I'll just take Raul Colley, who plays Leo, video game son. That's not a good role for him. It's distracting, in especially happens in episode 4. So, but I won't say anything beyond this specifically with episode 4. He had a wonderful Americanized accent in Midnight Mass as a sheriff, and here he's using his regular accent. Your mind is trying to subconsciously make him and Vic fit as Usher's children with that accent. It's really got nothing to do at all with their skin color at all. It's just like, what? How did they grow up in Britain? And it's just like this extra hurdle your mind has to jump in for every scene that they're in. And then I just don't think Collie should have been cast as Leo. He should have had another role, perhaps as, I mean, take your pick. He could have been the lawyer. Although I do think Mark Hamill is kind of killing it. He got the notes of saying, "Be campy, scary, not scary, scary. Be campy, scary," and he's got it down.
I love that growl he's doing because it
Yeah,
absolutely sounds like he is a British actor trying to master an American accent and sort of failing. And I'm just like, Mark, you're the man. Just keep growling and walking around with your spectacles.
The thing with the accents with the kids, they kind of address that, right?
they do address it, but you're still subconsciously thinking, "Whoa, they're British." Wait, Roger Usher is thoroughly American, Midwestern-ish.
I thought he just sold Wild Oats.
I
Is he?
know, no, I get
Well,
that.
I just
I mean,
kept thinking about how poor his
Yeah.
genetic strength is.
but when you take no, I think my point is when you take that part of subconsciously trying to like it just jolts you just a tiny bit subconsciously. Take that
Uh-huh.
part with them being cast in the wrong role. It's
Uh-huh.
just like a little too much conscious of a hurdle. It suddenly becomes a thing where you got to think, oh yeah, they're his kid.
Hmm.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
a lot of them say they didn't know they were his kid until like their 20s, right?
correct.
And they talk
Oh, it's
about,
thoroughly
well,
addressed and well
Yeah,
addressed.
yeah.
I'm just talking about me personally as a viewer. This is what happens. I think.
I have problems with the acting and the writing for sure, but to me that actually kind of works as illustrating like this conglomerate confederation of a set of kids. You know what I mean? Like they don't work as a unit. They
Hmm.
don't,
Oh, okay.
it kind of, that's one of the stronger parts
Yeah.
in an otherwise fairly weak setup.
I totally agree with that, Adam, because it makes it seem like that family dinner is, at the beginning, it's like, no, it's more Byzantine,
Mm.
than
Right.
everyone has a knife out.
And it's really nice, like show don't tell
Hmm.
writing in a show with a lot of tell.
Hmm. Hmm. It is funny. I think of all of us here, I'm the person who has the least trouble with the acting. I don't really mind him. I've already forgotten his name, so forgive me. Leo. I don't really mind him.
Raw
I,
Coley.
I don't know. I didn't find him like I'm not
He
saying
doesn't
he's
bug me.
he's, he's not like going to win an Oscar or anything for it, but I wasn't like annoyed.
The two that bother me are the oldest son, I guess.
Frederick.
The
Frederick.
ponytail. He's got a little ponytail,
Yeah,
right?
he's got the ponytail.
Frederick's got a
Yeah.
ponytail for some
Uh,
reason. Henry Thomas is
he's
the actor.
terrible.
Yeah.
And the woman who I probably just still hate from Midnight Mass,
Bev.
who has the prostitute come over so she can like watch her life play out and touch herself or whatever, which is just like, what's going on here? It's all of the Natalie brought this up. I'll let her get on her high horse for this about the strong need for sexuality in this. I know that sexuality and horror are they kind of go hand in hand with being a little more extreme than normal storytelling, but it is pretty funny.
It's ridiculous. This is like where you say like show don't tell. This is where they're not telling you, but you can see the things that they're not telling. Like you can see the decisions that they're making, and that's just bad. That's bad writing. Like you can tell, like okay, what's the weird kink that these people are gonna have? Let's make it. Oh, here's how can we make it a little bit weirder, but like sexy weird. Get people feeling away while they're watching. It's like we can see the formula. This is
It is, when
bad.
you say that, I can think of like everybody's little defining scene,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
which is
Frederick?
kind of silly, but like it's a zip around the room too. It's not even like you find out in the natural course of storytelling.
What's Frederick's kink though?
It's like they're all wearing their name tag with their kink on it.
Frederick's kink is that he doesn't fuck. That's why his.
I was gonna say
That's why
I
his
think
wife.
he's celibate.
Yeah, he's celibate. That's good.
His kink is being a good son.
Yes.
So it says kink is disappointing his father.
And his wife at the same time.
He doesn't take elevators. That's his thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's afraid of them.
He
I forgot
stinks
about
because he
that.
runs upstairs all the time.
Does that mean he's going to die in an
Almost
elevator?
certainly.
Yeah, seems. But how you get him in one, that's going to be the thing.
He flies right past Don Draper when Don looks in that empty elevator shaft. Right after that scene cuts, there goes old boy. You know how much a ponytail flies in the wind? Falling down a Manhattan elevator shaft.
Nicely, I'd imagine.
It doesn't look not cool.
You guys are bringing up the line I made last week, which is this family likes to fuck, except for Frederick apparently. But his wife, she's going to the orgy. She's having a good time.
She was in.
There is this kind of like I think it was Stephen King who said it, but like he's like there is a part of horror that's like inherently conservative, right? Because it shows you like the deviation, the aberration, the abomination, quote unquote, obviously. And so I do kind of wonder, like, I think that's there because we're just like they are rich and they can do whatever they want and they're weird, but there is also like, are these kinks hurting anyone? I would say with the assistants, probably. With Bev, probably not. And it is, but it is kind of like, like the horror is intertwined with like deviancy, if that makes sense.
It does.
But like, what does it do to the story? What's the point? Why do I need to know these things about these people? If there's a reason, like little kid that got burned and melted, sure, that's part of his track. It's part of his storyline. But I hate the show.
They do all serve some purpose, but it's to make them. I don't know that they. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, but I also see how they're kind of advancing the story. Either both, like with the two.
There's no subtlety.
Right, it's not subtle at all.
This movie, this show is not interested in
Like
subtlety.
the two assistants, they exist so that she can like flex the might of their NDAs. You know what I
do
mean?
find it interesting that Natalie says that I just laughed at the horror scenes, yet we can't get her to watch horror, like scary horror. Where's the nice middle?
I think part of it,
It's because I don't want to be startled.
and she's only seen like
That's all it comes down to.
she's only seen good horror movies that are actually scary and not just dumb.
So next week we're covering The Exorcist.
Right.
Actually, I would watch The Exorcist.
I love it. The more I think about it, the more I love it. But that's a different episode. So Natalie and Adam are going to leave the room because Donovan and I are about to discuss episode 4 just a little bit as we wind down today's episode. So thanks, Adam and Natalie. But
this one was cat heavy, so that's very important to me.
it kind of is important for us, both cat owners, both owning
Yes.
3 cats. Yes, it's kind of true. This is the episode where I thought that Flanagan should have experimented with a cast he hasn't worked with, because this is where I thought Collie, who plays Leo,
That was the weakest.
was miscast. He was just
Okay.
That
That's
didn't work.
funny. Yeah, I have nothing good backing this up. This is just 100% gut feeling. But I'm not. I didn't feel annoyed, or I was just like, yeah, this is like, it's fine. He's doing. I just thought it was fine. Like, again, I don't think he's not like Jesse Plemons or something where it's like, man, he can do anything and I can't look away. But yeah.
I think I have trouble not thinking about his performance in Midnight Mass and really loving it and adoring it.
Well, he was really good in Midnight Mass too,
That
but
could be
and
it.
just a completely different character too,
Very.
and
Exactly.
probably like the best person on that island too.
Yeah, he was one of the big protagonists characters.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think maybe the character of Leo, the way he was written, written a little whiny. It
I
never
guess
suited
so.
that actor. I
I thought it was a little. Oh, okay. That's
I don't
interesting.
take Collie as a whiner. I take him as
That's interesting.
either stoic or a go-getter or aggressive. Maybe,
He,
yeah.
he seemed like he was doing that, or at least supposed to be a parody of a tech bro who's like, I'm aggressive, I'm a disruptor, but also like, oh, like the very Elon Musk way where it's like, oh, the world's against me. Like I'm fighting here, all out, which is very whiny and annoying. And that's kind of when like he's in video games and he's obviously a personality, like a media personality, just all this different stuff.
Yeah, it goes back to it's not quite nuanced enough probably to warrant a plus.
No, no.
Right.
Right, like, dude, am I going to be thinking about this on my deathbed? Probably not. Am I enjoying it right before Halloween? Yes, yes, I
Yes.
am.
Scratching
And I think
that
there's
itch.
actually some moments that are pretty. I think this is Flanagan's thing, it's like he's not Stanley Kubrick, right? Where it's like, okay, there is nothing wasted in The Shining. I mean that movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes long, and it is lean, and mean.
Uh-huh.
Nothing is wasted. Whereas with Flanagan, it is kind of like the series as a whole, but also I think the episodes themselves will have moments of creakiness where it's kind of like you didn't like maybe if we had cut 15 minutes off of this, we'd have something solid. But the other thing I like about him is that interspersed with that is you have stuff that's really effective
Mm-hmm.
or affecting too.
Affecting. You look at the run times and kind of go, and it follows your assertion. When I click on the next episode, it's like an hour and 5 minutes, and I'm thinking,
Too much.
I bet this could have been a 55-minute episode. I bet it could have been a 45-minute episode.
So I want to see with the the Raven, the woman, the harbinger of death. I am interested in where she's coming from, but so far I don't necessarily really care about how the Ushers got to where they were. It's like I think if I had just seen them, like I get it, they're a brother and sister who are I mean obviously banging, but like but like they're unusually close. They're powerful. They can do whatever they want. They clearly do things without thinking through the consequences. And I don't know if I
That
need
part of the mystery has been drawn out a little too long.
that. I think maybe that's what it is for me.
That could have ended in episode 3. We could have put a bow on that one. You know
Yeah.
what I'm sticking around for?
Mm.
So yeah, a little bit of where's the Raven coming from? What has she got against them? Or is she just supposed to be a harbinger of death, or is she just supposed to be karma? Okay, maybe, but I hope they don't. That is a very big piece of the story that could make or break how I feel.
Definitely. Yeah.
I know we want to see what the finality of her role is, but you know what I really want to know? What the hell is Arthur Pym's story?
Oh yeah. I don't know if we're going to, but like, of
That would
course
be
he took it
great.
from like it's the only novel he ever wrote, right? So it's got like a special place in that. I'm like, please give Mark Hamill an episode.
What is going on with him?
Like,
Why is he wearing gloves? Why is he shady? How does he get so much done?
yeah, why is he like their bulldog fixer? How did he get involved with them, and what has he done? And like, he's like clearly the only man that Roderick trusts.
Wouldn't it be great if they had all young actors for everyone except for Mark Hamill and they de-age him again? He just looks like Luke Skywalker, and
Just do
he's
it like in the Mandalorian
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
And he's like, "Hey, I'm a lawyer. How are you?" He doesn't even have the voice. Wouldn't it be great? I don't have a lot to say about episode 4. It was my least favorite of the 5 I've seen.
Okay.
The Black Cat kind of that's a super short Poe story, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And
pretty short, yeah, because
yeah,
that's the one where he kills his wife, puts her in the wall. Cat's in there with the wall too,
uh-huh.
and he comes, they're looking like that. It's like the police or whatever. Like, oh, did you? And he's like, oh, nothing here. And like knocks on the wall, and the cat screams because the cat's been in there eating the corpse the whole time, and
Uh-huh.
it's just gruesome. So I
Uh-huh.
kind of liked that, although it was like I did in the middle of it also like, oh, we're in. It's also an episode of It's Always Sunny where you just there's a cat in the wall, and how do you get the cat? You put another cat in, right? And then oh no, that's two cats stuck in. What did they do? They put like three cats in Charlie's wall or
I don't
whatever.
know if I realized that episode of It's Always Sunny was a homage to Poe.
I just love that it was weird. They just keep putting cats in the wall to try and get them
Such a
out.
great episode. That's a really good show.
But yeah, that's I like I did like I liked it. I think this is more me liking it on the campy side, just because I like the Black Cat story. I like that. Oh yeah, we got it. She's named Pluto and all that kind of good.
hmm
But there was a bit where he's torn up the walls, where I'm like, oh no, this is Sunny. It's Always Sunny right
That's
here.
a funny reference that you made that I didn't catch when I watched. This episode, what ran through my mind toward the end was,
Mhm.
okay, Flanagan is trying to take on a bit too much by using a bunch of Poe's work. But
Mhm.
when I got back into episode 5, I thought, no, he's actually synthesizing this stuff quite well. I was thinking in episode 4, okay, he should have picked one or two things Poe has written and developed those, modernize them. But then in
Mhm.
episode 5, I came back around and I thought, no, this is synthesized okay enough for me.
I think for me, now only having seen four, The first episode, there was a lot of moments where it's like, we get it, Mike, we get it. You read Poe, but then once I saw that the series was going to be like each episode is like a different thing, a different Poe story, a different Poe thing, but like, you know what? That's actually kind of fun. Like, it can be fun to play spot the reference if it's not too cute. And so far for me, like it's been sometimes it's a little too cute,
Yeah.
especially when it's like I don't believe that Roderick Usher came up with Annabelle Lee. I'm sorry, I just don't think he wrote that.
You know what? When I saw that episode, I thought he was just quoting Poe and that Poe existed in their universe in the 1800s.
Oh, I
I
thought he
just
was.
thought.
I
But
thought
no,
he
you're
was. I thought they would say like he'd written it or
no,
something.
your interpretation is right. No, yeah, and they may have said
Okay.
it too because I've seen it
Yeah.
elsewhere that that was the case.
And which was, so sometimes it's a little too cute, but
It is.
honestly, I like spot the reference can be a really fun game to play too.
Can be. It gives you a roller coaster of thoughts. You're like, okay, I'm over this now, but then the next episode you start looking, and then you get a little
Mm-hmm.
over it. It also does nothing for the predictability if you like being completely surprised. These episodes, you look at the title, you know where it's going,
Oh yeah.
but how does it get there? That's not always a bust.
This is me being a pretentious ass.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not saying these two things are equal level of quality, but it does make me think of like Greek tragedy, where like the audience always knew what was going to happen
Okay.
because it's a story,
Well, I
right?
was
Like
going to
you
reference.
always know you always know what's going to happen to
That's
Oedipus.
funny. I was
You
going to
know it, but
reference
like
Shakespearean tragedies. You know what's
yeah,
going to
yeah, it's like
happen.
you know what's going to happen, but it's how you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the story is known, and then it's how you interpret it is fun.
Me being playing Monday morning quarterback, so to speak, and me playing Monday morning quarterback with Flanagan's writing and choices, he should have went. He should have done that, synthesized these things, kind of done a Greek tragedy, a Shakespearean tragedy kind of thing. Would have been perfect. Oh, it would have been chef's kiss if he would have said, "I'm going 100% camp" or "I'm going 100% scary AF."
Yeah, there is some, I don't know, tonal differences. Because it is the mix of like, oh no, I want this to be an actual scary scene, but it's also like, and the monkey did it in the Rue Morgue if you were paying attention,
One of
you
one
know,
of Poe's weakest decisions as a writer is having the monkey do it at Rue
the
Morgue.
orangutan.
Yeah, it's a lot. Even Poe's original there was a little silly.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take on for anyone. So kudos to him that he's doing it and able to produce something modern with this.
So I will also say, and this is something you can't know. You just kind of have to guess, but honestly, kind of seems like everyone's having fun here.
Yeah,
You know,
and I get
like
the
they don't.
impression that
They seem to, yeah. It doesn't. It's not overly serious. That no one seems miserable.
I get the impression from the few people I've talked to who've been watching it, they're kind of enjoying it just for the fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's where you and I are.
I
Maybe
think so.
maybe even Adam is a little to a degree, but I think Natalie was like,
I can't believe Natalie watched
yeah, it's just
three
not.
episodes.
It's not for her. Poor Natalie. We put her through the ringer on some of these choices we
We
decided
surely
to.
have.
But Flanagan's a staple. Next year, is he going to be on Amazon Prime with something similar around this time?
Yeah.
Don't
We'll
know.
we'll see.
We'll see.
He is kind of perfect for just to kind of get you in the Halloween mood though, because it's like Halloween, right? It's a little scary. It's a little campy.
And it
It's a
should,
little.
yeah.
It's weird, and it's kind of like I have part of the fun is the thrill of the familiar,
Hmm.
and then part of the fun is I don't actually know what is going to happen necessarily within the confines of the familiar. So I don't know how many trick or treaters are going to show up at my house, for instance.
It's easy for us to say, do this, do that. But if you think about it, I'm going to take on almost all of Poe's work. I'm going to turn them into modern story, not even horror, just here's a modern story. That's tough.
Yeah, I couldn't sit down and do that.
Let's wrap our episode. This has been fun. Hey, heads up, listeners, if you do make it this far, we may or may not be back next week. Probably will give our best effort to do so, but I'm going to go see the Dexatines on Saturday night in Tuscaloosa.
They're still playing.
Buddy, let me tell you this. Not only are they still playing, they're playing with the original lineup, Sweet Doggone Drums.
That's gonna be a damn good show.
I've always said if they ever do the original lineup, I'll just go wherever. I always said that.
Where are they playing?
Druid City. It's a Chucker Halloween
That's
reunion.
awesome.
Uh-huh.
My understanding about Tuscaloosa is like Druid City at this point is basically the only reason to go there. They just always seem to have something good cooking.
Yep. Kudos to Bo Hicks again. It'll be his
Yeah.
birthday weekend. They're doing Chucker Halloween 30-year reunion or 25. I can't remember. They've even reunited some old bands, not even just the Dextines, but like
Yeah.
bands who haven't played in 15 years or 20 years
That's awesome.
are
That's
on the bill.
awesome.
Yeah.
Because the Tuscaloosa music scene has real like there's been some good stuff through there, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's been some good stuff over the years.
Quality and original and unique.
Yeah, yeah.
Adam, of course, a birth from that scene.
Yes. If we hell, he's practically a staple there some weeks.
And he used to be. That was for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're going to try to get an episode to you next week. If not, if we make the announcement that there won't be, it might be because I couldn't get back in time on Sunday. We'll see.
I think that's a pretty damn good reason to possibly skip an episode. That's going to be awesome.
Still feasible. I'll be here. We're probably going to talk the fall of the House of Usher. We may even put a bow on that one, it being a Halloween episode for us. And that's pretty much it. Find Taking It Down pod on. I'm starting to use Blue Sky a ton, but you can find me on Threads, Instagram. You can always comment on the YouTube video and let us know if you've watched it. And for Donovan, Adam, and Natalie, we'll say goodbye. Follow the Alabama Take. Plenty there too. Thanks, everyone.